What is going on, you guys? Anthony here with Pistons Talk. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the Detroit Pistons cap space for this summer. As you guys know, the Pistons traded Andre Drummond this deadline, and they freed up $30 million in cap space. I know a lot of people are like, well, we didn't really get any names or draft picks attached. Well, we got cap relief, and I think that's enough for Andre Drummond. Now, we're going to be starting with these color coordinated charts I made. So we're going to start with the red chart. Now the red chart are players under contract. They don't have any player options. They don't have any qualifying offers. And they don't have any team options, okay? Now we're going to start with Blake Griffin. Now Blake Griffin is still under contract with the Pistons for a few more seasons. He's set to make $36 million next year for the Pistons. And hopefully by next season he's healthy. As you guys know, he had to have knee surgery again on the same knee. As he did against the Milwaukee Bucks series. So hopefully that knee is healing up and his rehab is going good. My thing with Blake is when he's healthy, he's a top 3 power forward in the game. That's my opinion. You guys may think he's not top 3, but not my opinion. When he's healthy, he's one of the best power forwards in the NBA. Going on to Derrick Rose. Now, Derrick Rose is here for one more season. He signed a 2-year deal, so this is going to be going into his second year. He's going to be making $7.6 million. To me, that is probably one of the most budget-friendly contracts that the Pistons have right now. Getting a guy that's a starting caliber point guard can get you around, 16 to 18 points a game and get your teammates involved. To me, one of the best contracts the Pistons have is Derrick Rose. Going down to Luke Cunard. Now, Luke Cunard had his injury problems just like Blake this year. But my concern with Luke is he's very young to be having these knee issues. And he hasn't really even been in the NBA for 5 seasons yet. And he's already starting to have these knee issues. So that's probably why we saw him in trade rumors with Phoenix during the deadline. The Pistons are just seeing what his market is. But when Luke is healthy, one of the best sharp shooting guards in the NBA, and his defense has improved a lot since we have drafted him. Going down to Sekou Doumbouya. Now, Sekou Doumbouya to me is still a project. I think he's going to be another 2 to 3 years out before we see what he's 100% capable of. We saw strides of what he is capable of, and it is very exciting if you're a Pistons fan. And to me, Sekou Doumbouya is the future of the Detroit Pistons. Going down to Kyrie Thomas, this is going to be his last year with the Detroit Pistons, contract-wise. He's never really gotten consistent playing time. Now, this year, he did have a broken foot, and he started to see playing time before the season ended. And he had a really good summer league. So, I think Kyrie Thomas will probably see more consistent playing time if he does stay healthy. Now, going over to this blue chart. Now, this blue chart is, as you guys can see, player options, qualifying offers, and team options. Now, we're going to start with Tony Snell. He's 100% going to take that player option. He'd be stupid to walk away from $12 million. And I'm sure the Pistons are happy this is going to be his last year. Obviously, when we did trade for him for John Lure, it was just to get a starting caliber small forward. If you guys do remember, we traded Stanley Johnson for Thon Maker, and we really didn't have a small forward. So Tony Snell was just a Band-Aid temporarily until we can find a small forward to replace him. I think you could probably plug in Sekou Doumbouya at that small forward position potentially if his development keeps improving. But for now, we're stuck with Tony Snell for one more year for $12 million. Going down to Thon Maker. He has a qualifying offer if the Pistons want to do that. If they don't, he could just become a free agent. I don't know if they want to do a qualifying offer with Thon. Thon, this year, really struggled behind Andre Drummond, Christian Wood, and Blake Griffin. Now, Thon did get more playing time than Christian Wood in the beginning of the season, and it infuriated fans, and for good reason. Thon wasn't really producing the way Christian Wood was producing. But after the Drummond trade, Thon's production went way up, and a lot of fans were like, where was this all season? So that's something the Pistons are going to have to think about. to see if Thon will still have that same impact as he did when Andre Drummond got traded. Now, Bruce Brown and Svi Mykhailiuk are both team options, you guys. Now, the Pistons are going to pick both of those team options up. $1.6 million for both of them is incredibly cheap. And those are core guys that you want to continue to build around. So expect the Pistons to pick up both of those team options. Going over to this black chart. This black chart are all the free agents that the Pistons have. Now, I did not put Jordan McRae on this because he was on a 10-day contract. I don't think the Pistons are going to bring him back at all. I think that they'll look to free agency to maybe potentially bring in another shooting guard / small forward. There's been no real reports of any players that they're really interested in. I mean, we've heard rumors about DeMar DeRozan, but I don't know if they would want to do that. Now, going to this free agency list, you guys have Christian Wood. To me, number one priority in free agency. The Pistons are going to have to address it immediately. I could see him getting anywhere from $8 to $15 million from the Detroit Pistons. Hopefully, they do not get in a bidding war with another team, because we've seen teams like the New York Knicks interested in Christian Wood. Houston tried trading for him twice this deadline. Boston was calling about Christian Wood. So you're going to have some teams sniffing around this free agency period. And hopefully the Pistons don't get in a bidding war for Christian Wood. Brandon Knight, the only scenario I could see the Pistons bringing back Brandon Knight is if they cannot get a deal with Fred VanVleet at point guard. There have been multiple reports of the Pistons being interested in Fred VanVleet. Now, if Fred VanVleet asks for 15 to 20 million for a contract, I can expect the Pistons to back out of that. Maybe Brandon Knight can give the Pistons a contract more affordable than his last contract. He was making 15 million. I don't think he'll get that again. I could see him getting anywhere from 6 to 7 million with another team. Maybe he stays with the Pistons. Maybe he doesn't. I'm not sure. Now, Langston Galloway, to me, he said he'd like to stay with the Detroit Pistons. He said that was the plan. Now, Langston made $7.3 million this season with the Pistons. I don't know if the Pistons are comfortable paying him $7 million. I think a $4 to $5 million range is more affordable for Langston Galloway's services. As you guys know, he is one of those players where when he is hot, he can't miss. But when he's not, he just bricks it. There's not really a consistency with Langston. So it's going to be up to the Pistons to address that. How much do they want to pay Langston if they do want to bring him back? If not, you could probably see guys like Svi Mykhailiuk and Kyrie Thomas benefit from not bringing Langston back. Going down to John Henson. Now, John Henson made $9 million this year. I don't think the Pistons are going to want to pay a backup center $9 million. Now, John Henson probably is going to go sign with a contending team or a playoff team. I think he's in this stage of his career where he wants to go play in the playoffs or go play for a championship contending team. So I don't think he's going to stick around in Detroit at all. Dante Hall. Now, Dante Hall to me is a guy that the Pistons are probably going to continue to develop. He did get 2 10-day contracts with the Pistons. He was an absolute beast in Grand Rapids this year. I think the Pistons are going to continue to develop Dante Hall. He's a perfect backup big man in today's NBA. He's able to, play defense. He's a lob threat. He's a rim runner, and he has the ability to make jump shots. I know we didn't really see that in the NBA, but in Grand Rapids, he did shoot a few threes, some mid-range, and I think that's something that he's going to continue to develop in the NBA. Now, going down to one of the probably the most fan favorites among the Pistons fans is Jordan Bone. Now, Jordan Bone might be the odd man out if you're the Pistons, because they're probably going to draft a point guard this draft. Now you're gonna have Derrick Rose, potentially another young point guard, And maybe you go after Fred VanVleet. So that's 3 point guards, and Jordan Bone would be the 4th point guard, okay? Now, this is a speculation. I don't know if the Pistons are going to keep him around, but if they do keep him around, he's probably going to be in Grand Rapids again. You know, practice body just in case another point guard gets hurt. I don't know if he's going to be in Detroit long term. I think he's a point guard that's too talented to be in Grand Rapids. I think a lot of teams could use a player like Jordan Bone. I think once he gets the proper opportunity, he'll calm down a little bit. I know when he was with the Pistons in the playing time that he did get, he was very nervous, which is to be expected when you're playing, you know, against grown men versus the G League. The G League is kind of like, I don't know, it's like varsity versus freshmen, in my opinion. Like, he was playing with a bunch of freshmen and he was dominating. Once he gets up to, you know, the NBA, it's a bunch of varsity players and he's nervous. And like I said, I'd like to see him get some kind of look in the NBA. I don't know if it's going to be at the Pistons, but who knows? Now, the last player on this list is Louis King. Now, Louis King, to me, is probably more likely to get another contract from the Pistons more than Jordan Bone. Louis King saw more playing time than Jordan Bone, and I think the Pistons coaching staff and the front office sees a lot of potential in Louis King. He's kind of in between a small forward and a power forward, and defensively, he's okay. I know he's got a lot of potential, and I think that's a player that the Pistons can look to develop as Louis King. Offensively, he's okay. He's not like flashy by any means. He's kind of slow for his size, but he reminds me of a kind of like a combo small forward, power forward, because you can kind of play him in either position. But like I said, I could see the Pistons bringing him back potentially. As for free agents that we could target, like I said, Fred VanVleet is probably the number one target in free agency that I've been hearing probably for the past 3 to 4 months. Same with DeMar DeRozan. I don't know if they're going to make a reunion with Dwayne Casey. A backcourt of Derrick Rose and DeMar DeRozan, man, that would be like team mid-range in my opinion, you guys. But let me know what you guys think. Who are some players that the Pistons should go after in this free agency? Or who are some players you think that they should re-sign? Let me know down in the comment section, and I will talk to you guys there. Take care.